Hello, in this video we're looking at issue 10 of Warhammer Imperium magazine, the Necron Warriors and Scarabs that came with this issue, and then trying the warriors out on battlefield. Hello, I'm Will, this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we're bringing you issue 10 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. Slightly delayed if you're watching these as they come out, because our issue didn't arrive on time, but it's here now. So with this issue we got a second sprue that, together with the one from the last issue, lets us make all of the 10 Necron Warriors and 3 Scarab Swarms. If you want to see the Necron Warriors in action on the battlefield, you can skip ahead using the timecode in the description or the chapter bar for the battle report. The Scarabs we'll get to see in action in the following issue. But we'll have a look inside this issue. First up, we've got a section on Ultramarine weapons and war gear names. The Space Marines like to name their war gear. Some weapons are around for a very long time and can develop their own particular stories. They tend to be named after things they might have done. And there's actually some D33 charts you can roll on if you want to name the equipment of your models. So there's one for armour and shields and things. And then over the page there's one for range and melee weapons respectively. Then we have some information about some of the ranged weapons the Space Marines do use. So we've got the bolt weapons that we've seen plenty of, which fire high explosive rocket-propelled ammunition. Plasma weapons, which shoot blasts of energy. Melter weapons, which literally sort of melt the target away. Flame weapons, as flamethrowers, as you might imagine. Then you've got auto weapons, which fire lots of high caliber ammunition, and las weapons, which are basically big laser guns. And also some more esoteric things like Volkite weapons and grav weapons, which are poorly understood in the 41st millennium. And there's a bit about their grenades that they use as well. Then we have the Necron Legions, talking more about the organisation of Necron Legions and Phalanxes. Most of their forces are made up of Necron Warriors, but we also have a bit on the back about Immortals, which are the elite Death Marks, which are assassins and snipers, warriors themselves, and then Tomb Blades, which are warriors mounted on fast-moving hover bikes, effectively. Then we have the painting guide for the Necron Warriors and Scarabs. We had the build guide for these in the previous issue, but now you have the second sprue, you can build all of these, but the painting instructions are here. There's nothing new here, it just gets them up to the standard we've got to with the rest of the Necrons up to this point, so paint them with Runelord Brass to start with. Then Corax White for the sort of energy glowy bits that will eventually be given another colour on top. The Scarab Swarms, they have a sort of energy globe in the centre as you can see, and then it says to paint their limbs with black. And then more black for the Necrons as well. Then using lead belcher for parts of their weapons. And finally we have a gallery of what they should look like up to this point, with the Scarabs at the bottom there. But that's it for the content of this issue, so we'll get on to the battle now and see the warriors on the battlefield.
Now we're moving on to our game for this issue. So despite the Space Marines' efforts, the endless tide of Necrons has been slowly waking up and is endeavouring to force them from their tomb. So in this battle, the Necron Warriors we've got over the last 2 issues have awoken and are trying to drive the Space Marines out of the tomb of Megaria, and only 3 assault intercessors are in position to try and stop them. So we have 2 groups of 5 Necrons, or units as I'll refer to them from now on. 1 unit of 5 with Gauss Flares and 1 unit of 5 with Gauss Reapers. The ones with Flares are at point A, ones with Reapers at point B, and then the unit of Assault Intercessors at point C, and then we have an objective over here at point E on our big board. And it notes here that you put 1 model from the unit on the point, and then the rest need to be set up in coherency, which is within 2 inches of another model in that unit. We're going to be learning a fair amount of rules in this issue about using units. So previously we've been using individual models, but from now on, most of the time our models will be grouped up into units. Usually not vehicles or characters, but generic infantry like the Assault Intercessors and the Necrons nearly always come in units in Warhammer 40,000. So basically units move and fight together as a single group, so they always have to be within 2 inches of another model in that unit, because you can see these Necrons are all within coherency of each other. And when a unit moves or charges or advances or falls back, they have to end their move within 2 inches of a number of their unit. When a unit shoots, you allocate the shots from their weapons to enemy units that are within range, and all of a weapon's shots must be against the same unit, but models within a unit can shoot at different targets. So you can see here these 3 Assault Intercessors, 2 of them are shooting at 1 unit of Necrons and the other one's shooting at the other. When shooting at multiple units, you resolve all of the attacks against 1 unit before doing the attacks against another. Then when units charge, you select a target or multiple targets for that unit to charge, and then roll a single charge roll for the unit. If you select multiple units to charge, your charge roll must be enough to reach both units, or as many units as you picked, otherwise the charge will fail. Only one member of the unit actually has to get within the engagement range of the charged target. The rest of them can lag behind a bit. So you can see here the Assault Intercessors are trying to charge both units of Necrons, and will have to roll high enough on their charge roll to be able to reach both with at least one member. And then when a unit is chosen to fight, all of its members can pile in, up to 3 inches, but they must pile in closest to the closest model. And if a model is in base contact with an enemy unit, it can't pile in, it can't move at all. So in this example, this Assault Intercessor is in base contact with this Necron Warrior, so he can't do anything, whereas these other two are piling in towards the closest, or so that they end up closer to the closest model. So you don't necessarily have to move directly towards if you don't want to. And obviously whenever a unit finishes a charge or a piling move, it must end in coherency. Now we have some more updated data sheets. So for the Assault Intercessors, it's all fairly similar, but we learn that the Astartes Chainsword gives them each an extra attack. So effectively each Assault Intercessor has 3 melee attacks now, rather than only 2. And for the Necron Warriors, we learn that they have 1 attack in melee and a weapon skill of 3+. And they don't have a melee weapon, so they'll use the generic close combat weapon we learned about in a previous issue. We also learn about the Gauss Reaper that 5 of the Warriors will be using, which is a 12-inch range Assault 2, Strength 5, AP -2, 1 damage weapon. So it's effectively a closer range, more mobile, slightly deadlier version of the Gauss Flare. We have a rules reference here about how charging works and how movement works. It goes over some of the stuff we've seen in the previous page. And over the next page, it goes over again some more rules we've learned so far. So you can't shoot if you're within engagement range of an enemy unit, or you can't shoot at an enemy unit that was within the engagement range of a friendly unit. One exception to that is if you are armed with pistols, in which case you can shoot it in engagement range, but only at the units you're engaged with. We've learned about assault and rapid fire and melee weapons before. One thing to note here about the attack sequence, since we're using units, you allocate attacks to models within the unit. If a unit has a model that has taken a wound, you must continue to allocate attacks to that model in the unit, or if it has already had attacks allocated to it this phase, even if it isn't wounded, you must carry on allocating attacks to that model. So you can never have multiple wounded models within a unit. Again, models with no wounds remaining are removed from play. Basically, that just means I can't have 3 Assault Intercessors all with 1 wound each. I actually have to kill them in sequence. We learned about the fight sequence where units that charge that turn go first, and then the opponent gets to pick which unit fights first. And now we have the wound table as well, which is exactly the same as before. And then in the examples, we'll see the Assault Intercessors moving and charging, shooting and then charging one of the Necron Warriors units. All of this should become apparent during the game. Our objective for this game is the game will last for 4 turns, and the Necrons win if they manage to have a warrior on the objective by the end of their 4th turn. Otherwise, the Space Marines win, so the time limit is actually fairly tight for the Necrons, but we'll see how they get on. We'll come back after we set up the board. So here we are with the board set up. We have the Necron Warrior unit with Gauss Reapers down the bottom. Over in the top left is the Warrior unit with Gauss Flares, the Assault Intercessors at the top in the middle, and all the way over on the right is the objective the Necrons are trying to reach. The Space Marines get to go first, so we're on to Space Marines turn 1. So in my movement phase, the Assault Intercessors have moved up, and you can see they've all ended their move within 2 inches of each other, because they need to keep to the body system now, since they're a unit, and they are more than an inch away from the Necrons. Not likely to move that far. So the Assault Intercessors are all within 18 inches of the Necron Warrior unit with the Gauss Reapers, so they're all going to shoot their pistols at them, because the Reapers are a much scarier weapon than the Gauss Flares. We have 3 pistol shots hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits, and wounding on 4s, getting a single wound.
They have an AP of -1 though, so I need a 5+ save. No, I failed.
So that will kill a Necron Warrior.
And when stuff's in a unit, the controlling player allocates where the hits are allocated. So I'm just going to take away this one, who's on the point all the way in the back, because he's the furthest away from shooting and also from the objective.
Yeah, I mean, technically you allocate the target and then roll saves, but it's usually quicker to just roll saves and then take away models. If you have models with different loadouts or special models or anything, then you might want to do it that way, but Necron Warriors are all the same, so it doesn't really matter. And now the Assault Intercessors are going to charge only this Warrior unit, because I don't think they're actually in range of the other one. So hope anything but an incredibly low roll, well 3 is going to be enough, fortunately. So 3 inches is enough to get this assault intercessor at the back within an inch of a Necron Warrior, so that means it is a successful charge, while the other two get to move up 3 inches, but they aren't actually within engagement range of the Warriors yet. But then in the fight phase, they charge, so they get to go first, so now they get to pile in. So this assault intercessor is going to pile in around like that, so he's closer to this Necron Warrior, and this intercessor will move in as well, and this one will just move in a little bit closer as well. So now the assault intercessors get to attack the Necron Warriors with their chainswords, and they get an extra attack using the chainswords. So we have 9 attacks hitting on 3s, 5, wounding on 4s, getting 2, minus 1 AP as well.
So I need 5 plus saves, and again, technically I should allocate these and then roll the saves, but I'm just going to roll them and then take them away because it's not going to matter. So we failed both, so 2 dead. I'm going to remove this one here and this one here, but then the Necrons get to fight back. So they get to pile in as well. This one here is closest to this intercessor, so if he moves here like this, he's getting closer, and he's within an inch now. The other two, I'm not going to move them because they were already within an inch, but they could technically pile in if they wanted to. And then we get our attacks. 1 attack each, I'll roll them all together. These hit on 3s. We've got 1 hit, and it wounds on a 4 with strength 4. No, it does not wound, so nothing.
And that's it for Space Marines turn 1, on to Necrons turn 1.
So in my movement phase, these 3 Necron Warriors that were engaged have fallen back, so they've moved, so they're all outside of an inch of a Space Marine, but they're remaining in coherency. There's no more than 2 inches between these models. They're kind of just getting in the way because they can't shoot. I did consider leaving them in melee, so as to hold the Space Marines up, because if they were still in melee in their turn, they wouldn't be able to charge my other squad, but I don't think they were likely to survive. So they're just going to get in the way for now. But the other squad have moved. They're 5 inches. They're in a slightly strange arrangement because they all wanted to stay within 12 inches of a Space Marine, but also get someone as close as possible to the objective, so that's why they look like that. But then we're on to the shooting phase, where they can shoot their Gauss Reapers. So they've got 2 shots each for 8 in total, and we're hitting on 3s. We've got 7 hits.
And they wound on 3s because they're strength 5.
Yeah, and Space Marines are only toughness 4. 4 fails there, so only 3 wounds, but these are at AP minus 2.
Yeah, so these are 5 plus saves. And I made 1, so that's 2 wounds, so 1 assault intercessor will be killed. And I'm going to take away this guy at the back, so even though he technically wasn't in range of the Necrons, he is a part of the unit. Range only matters for shooting at the unit, and I can still take away models wherever I want. But I think that'll be it for Necrons turn 1. So we're on to Space Marines turn 2. So in my movement phase, the assault intercessors are going to move more centrally around the smaller unit of Necrons. And in the shooting phase, we're going to fire our pistols at this larger unit with the Gauss Reapers. We have 2 shots hitting on 3s, getting a single hit. Wounds on a 4, it does.
5 plus to save. Oh, I made it with a 6.
Now in the charge phase, the assault intercessors I think are going to take the riskier option. This unit is much more dangerous in shooting, so I think we're going to have to try and charge this one. Obviously the other unit would be the safe bet because I'm just over an inch away, and I can't charge both because I won't actually have enough Marines to stay in coherency after the charge and hit both of them, so I'm going to just charge the unit with the Reapers. Gonna need at least a half decent roll, or like a 10, that'll do. So the assault intercessors are going to finish their charge like this. Rather than moving them to here, I'm actually going to charge so that I can get all the Necrons within an inch. Because if I move here, it is possible that William could remove Necrons to leave ones at the back unengaged, and that could then move normally in the next turn. In this case, the Necrons are all going to be stuck in melee. This doesn't mean I would also be stuck in melee, but I'm much better off in melee than Necrons, so hopefully that will pay off. And the assault intercessors have 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, getting 2, wounding on 4s, no wounds.
They'll pile in a little bit. These 2 here are already in base contact, so they can't move any further. This one will just pile in there, and that one will actually stay where it is because he can't really go anywhere else and get closer. So 4 attacks, 1 each, hitting on 3s. They all hit. Oof. Wounding on 4s. Getting 2 wounds, but with no armor penetration.
2, 3 plus save for the Marines, and we failed 1, so 1 will take a wound. And I'll put it on this one, who's slightly further away from the objective. But that'll be it for Space Marines turn 2, on to Necrons turn 2.
Well, now that we have those 2 intercessors bogged down, this 3-man unit is actually going to make a run for it, so they're going to advance. I'll roll an extra... 6 inches, they get to go 11. So that brings them all the way up to here. They're nearly half the distance to the objectives, over half the distance to the objective. And I will keep that 4 warrior unit in melee, because if even one of them is left alive at the end of the fight phase, then the Space Marines won't be able to charge my other Necrons next turn.
Right, in the fight phase, I get to pick first, because I'm the opponent in this turn.
And I didn't charge with anything.
6 attacks from the Assault Intercessors, hitting on 3s, getting 3 this time, we're getting a little bit better. Wounding on 4s, getting 1.
1 5+ save. I failed, so I do lose a warrior. We'll just take away this one, I think. Doesn't really matter at this point.
That was Necron's turn 2, on to Space Marine's turn 3.
So yeah, we totally forgot to let the Necrons attack back there. I doubt they would have done very much with 3 attacks, but on this occasion we just kind of screwed up, so sorry about that.
So in the movement phase, I'm just going to stay engaged, and then in the shooting phase, we're going to fire our pistols at the Necron Warriors we're engaged with, because the other unit isn't a legal target. 2 shots with pistols, hitting on 3s, getting a single hit. Wounding on a 4, hit wounded.
5+ save. Failed. So we will lose another warrior. We'll take that one away.
Yep. Then in the fight phase, the Warriors get to fight first.
They can't pile in at all, so we've just got our 2 attacks, hitting on 3s rather. They both hit. Wounding on 4s. They both wound.
3+ saves. Failed both, so we have 1 Assault Intercessor left. This man is wounded, so he has to die first, and then the other one will take the remaining wound. And he gets to fight back and try and avenge his fallen brother. 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 2 hits, wounding on 4s. He didn't get any wounds. Yeah, and that's it. On to Necron's turn 3.
We'll do the same as last turn. These 3 in the middle are going to advance, and the others will stay in melee. So their advance roll is a 5. That's probably actually going to be enough. So that is enough to get one onto the objective, but he does have to stay there until the end of my 4th turn. Whether the Space Marine can get them or not, I'm not sure. But if he kills both of these warriors in the fight phase, he might have a chance in his last turn.
It is technically possible that the Assault Intercessor gets to fight first in the fight phase. He has 3 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 2. Wounding on 4s, getting 2. Oh.
2 5+ saves. Oh, I made 1. So we'll take away a warrior. That one, I suppose. And then that remaining warrior gets to hit back. It hits on a 3. It did. And it wounds on 4. It did not.
And that is the end of Necron's turn 3, but it is actually going to be a Necron victory because I have 1 turn remaining and I'm stuck in combat with a Necron. And even if I manage to shoot him with my pistol, I am not going to be in range to charge the other unit, so I can't possibly stop the Necrons. So that'll be a Necron victory, and we'll do a best of 3 as usual, and we'll reset the board and come back after that. And we reset the board, and we've actually redeployed slightly differently, so yes, these 3 Assault Intercessors are all within 2 inches of another Assault Intercessor, so I've deployed as close as I could get to the Necrons, pretty much.
And I've deployed the squad with the Gauss Flayers. They're allowed to be up to 5 inches onto the board, so they are, but they're also trying to maintain as much distance as the other squad, who are kind of clustered in the corners to try and be as far away from the Space Marines as possible. So within the rules of the deployment, all of these things are allowed.
Yeah, making the most of that 5-inch deployment area. Well, like last time, the Space Marines get to go first, so on to Space Marines turn 1. Last time I've moved my Marines up to get close to the Necron unit with the Gauss Flayers. But in the shooting phase, they are still within range of the unit with Reapers, because 18 inches is basically across one side of the board to the other. So they're going to fire all their pistols at the unit with the Gauss Reapers. 3 pistol shots hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits this time. Wounding on 4s, getting a single wound.
5+ to save. Oh, I made it.
Then the Assault Intercessors will charge the Warriors with Gauss Flayers. I'll roll, even though they're just over an inch away, just see how much movement I can get over it. Well, 2. Well, not much movement at all, apparently. Luckily, a 2 is enough to get them all in range, so they're going to move into contact like that. This one will pile in around a little bit to make it slightly harder for the Necrons to fall back. 9 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 6 hits. Wounding on 4s, ooh, getting 4.
4 5+ saves. Made 1, so 3 die. So I'll take away these 2 at the back and then this one here. And that's just because these 2 have a chance of escaping through that gap in their movement phase if I want to do that. Whereas these ones will be too far away probably. But then these 2 can attack. So just the 2 attacks hitting on 3s, only 1 hit. It would wound on 4, it does not.
That'll be it for Space Marines turn 1, on to Necrons turn 1.
So these 2 can fall back through this little gap here, so they're going to do that, and so they're more than an inch away, they're in coherency and they're just getting in the way of the Space Marines to be a nuisance. And then the other squad are going to advance, because if their weapon range is only 12 inches, and that's a bit too close to the Space Marines, so I'd rather be a really long way away. So their advanced roll is a 2, so only 7 inches. So that gets them to there, they're not within 12 inches to shoot, and the other 2 fell back, so that'll be the end of my turn, because I can't charge, obviously.
So we're on to Space Marines turn 2. So the Assault Intercessors will move out around those Necrons, and in the shooting phase we're going to shoot at this unit again. 3 pistol shots hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits again. Running on 4s, getting 1 again.
5+ save. I made it again.
Nice. Now we're on to the charge phase. This Intercessor is just going to charge the smaller unit of Necrons. They're in range of this one, but they're going to need a huge charge to get across, and I don't think I'm going to roll that. Right, here I'll roll their charge roll against the smaller unit. Yeah, I didn't roll an 11, so I don't regret that choice. So they're going to charge like that. This one will pile in like that. Just in case I only kill 1, they'll still be engaged and have to fall back. So then we have 9 attacks from the Assault Intercessors hitting on 3s. 5. Then wounding on 4s. Getting only 1.
Oh, 5 to save. No. I think this one will die. Then this one will pile in. He's closest to this Intercessor, so if he piles in this way and gets into base contact, he is getting closer, but he's going round that way, and he gets his attack. Yeah, 1 attack, which hits on a 3. It does, and it wounds on a 4. It doesn't.
That'll be it for Space Marines turn 2, on to Necrons turn 2.
So in my movement phase, this remaining Necron Warrior will fall back again to stand in the way, and the other squad with the Reapers will advance again. Their advance roll is a 6. So that gets them all the way to there. They're nearly at the objective, and no shooting or charging, so that's the end of my turn again.
On to Space Marines turn 3. So the Assault Intercessors are going to move around that remaining Necron with the Gauss Flare, and then in the shooting phase they're going to try and shoot at him this time. Try and finish off that single Necron with 3 pistol shots hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Wounding on 4s, getting 2 wounds.
Has to pass both saves to live. Oh, he did.
Yeah. Well, then the Assault Intercessors are going to try and charge the larger unit of Necrons, and they're probably going to need about an 8. Their charge roll is an 11, that's easily enough. So the Assault Intercessors will finish their charge like that. They get to go first since they charge, and they're going to pile in, so this chap's going to pile in around a bit. And this guy will move in like that, so the Necrons can't just sneak through us. And then this guy is just going to move in like that, just to get more Necrons within an inch. And then we get to attack. 9 attacks with our chain swords, hitting on 3s. Oh, 7 hits this time. Wounding on 4s. Whoa, 6 wounds.
5+ saves. Ooh.
Oh, there's 5 fails.
Get them in the box. Oh, well, yeah, they're all dead, yeah, because... so that is enough to kill all 5 of them.
Well, that's the end of Space Marines turn 3, on to Necrons turn 3.
So the one remaining Necron is going to have to advance, otherwise he's got no chance of getting to the objective. 1 inch is probably actually not going to be enough, so anyway. So that's only enough to get him to there, even with a maximum advance roll next turn, and if the Space Marines for some reason didn't shoot him and charge him and hold him back, he can't reach the objective. So we're going to call that one a Space Marine victory, I think.
Yeah, so off to set up for game 3 for a decider. Now we reset the game, so I've deployed similarly to the previous game where I'm conga lining towards the Necrons.
And so have I, really.
So once again, we'll head into Space Marines turn 1. Like last time, the Assault Intercessors have moved towards the unit with the Gauss Flares, and they're going to shoot the unit with the Gauss Reapers. 3 shots hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Wounding on 4s, getting a single wound.
5+ save, failed. Take away that one who's furthest from everything.
Yep. Then in the charge phase, the Assault Intercessors will charge the unit with the Gauss Flares. For their charge distance, they get an 8. So we're going to charge the Necrons across the front like that, so that if some of them fall back, it'll be a little bit harder for them to get in our way again. 9 attacks hitting on 3s. Ooh, 7 hits. 7 hits, wounding on 4s. 4.
5+ saves. We'll make 3 of them. Okay. I think we'll lose this one because he's also furthest from the objective. But then the Necrons get to pile in and attack. I think this one is closest to the middle one, so I don't know if there's any way. So if this one piles in this way and the back one piles in a little bit, he's just within an inch of that Assault Intercessor, and he does get closer to him as he moves, so they can all fight. So 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 2 hits, wounding on 4s, nothing.
Well, that'll be it for Space Marines turn 1, on to Necrons turn 1.
So this time I'm going to take the risk that the Space Marines won't kill all 4 of these Necrons in my combat phase, and so they'll be held up in their turn, and that means that the Reaper squad has advanced. I just don't it on camera, they rolled a 4, so 9 inches closer to the objective.
Yeah, and then in the fight phase, the Assault Intercessors get to strike first. 9 attacks hitting on 3s. Oof, getting 8 hits. Blimey. 8 hits, wounding on 4s. 4.
5+ to save. Made 2. I'll take away these 2 here.
And then the remaining 2 get to fight back.
2 attacks hitting on 3s. Got 1 hit. Wounds on a 4. It did wound.
3+ save. Made it. And that's how the board looks at the end of Necron's turn 1. On to Space Marine's turn 2. I think we are going to stay in melee, try and finish off this unit. We'll be able to play catch up with the other Necron units, but if we fall back we can't shoot or charge, so I think we're better off finishing off this unit. First off in the shooting phase we get to make 3 pistol shots against the warriors we're engaged with, hitting on 3s. They all hit. Wounding on 4s, getting a single wound.
5+ save. Made it.
And in the fight phase the 2 warriors get to fight first.
2 attacks hitting on 3s. They both miss.
Then the assault intercessors get 9 attacks back, hitting on 3s. Getting 7 hits. Wounding on 4s, getting 4 wounds again.
5+ saves. There they go. And that's enough to kill them.
And that's the end of Space Marine's turn 2, on to Necron's turn 2.
So they're just going to advance again, and I rolled a 5, and that brings them to there, nearly on the objective.
Yeah, and that's the end of Necron's turn 2. On to Space Marine's turn 3. Assault Intercessors are just going to advance. They get a 6, that's absolutely perfect. So the Assault Intercessors can move towards the objective. I could have moved normally and shot, but I think if I did that, and if I moved normally again and shot, it would be a very long charge to get to any warriors that would be on the objective next turn, and probably fairly unlikely to kill them all with shooting. So I think advancing is a safer bet. That's the end of my turn 3, on to Necron's turn 3.
So my turn 3, I can move normally and be touching the objective, so I just need to stay there until the end of my turn 4. But because we move normally, we can actually shoot at the Assault Intercessors at no penalty, and they're all within range. So 8 shots hitting on 3s, getting 4 hits, and wounding on 3s, getting 4 wounds with a -2 AP.
4 5+ saves. I didn't make any, so that will leave a single intercessor left. And it is technically possible for the one man to kill all those Necrons, so we might as well try as we head into Space Marine's turn 4. So the lone hero has moved up 6 inches towards the Necrons, and he's going to fire his pistol at them. He has a single shot with hitting on 3s. He hits, he wounds on a 4. He does not. He's going to try and charge them, and 8 is definitely enough. So he's going to charge onto the objective, so that if a Necron wants to be on it, they need to be in melee with him, so they can't just fall back on their turn. Then he'll attack them with his 3 attacks. 3 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits, wounding on 4s, getting nothing. So I think we can call it there. I would have the Necron's next fight phase, but this Necron here is on the objective, and I don't have enough attacks to kill all of them. Even if I killed 3 Necrons, you just take away these ones at the back. Yeah, so we'll call that a Necron victory, and recap those games for you now. So that was the game for issue 10 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. How did you think that went?
Well, in the end it went okay, but I just think I was helped by you didn't roll so well on occasion. I think there were a couple of occasions where if you just killed another warrior or 2, then you would have been much more free to actually dictate what was going on in the game.
The one game where I won, I did roll extremely well to kill 5.
I did roll quite well for my armor saves, to be fair. I think there was one point where I rolled 3 out of 4. I rolled very few dice at all because I barely shot you. In fact, I don't think I shot a single Gauss Slayer in this game. And I think I shot with the Gauss Reapers twice.
Yeah, I do think it's really the turn limit. A couple of bad advance rolls. If you advance twice and roll a couple of 1s, that will cripple the game for the Necrons.
Yeah, I did actually roll quite well. I was rolling like 4s, 5s and 6s for most of my advance rolls, which was helpful.
I think it is tempting to stay and shoot the Assault Intercessors with the Gauss Reapers because they're actually really good against them, but you do need to get some good advance rolls to do that.
Yes, and the downside of shooting you as well is that I'd have to disengage any engaged Necrons, which then leaves you in your turn to come and potentially charge them. So it's funny in a way because we've got the new exciting weapons for the Warriors, but because they only had 4 turns, they actually really had to be running.
Yeah, I think the turn limit is the main issue for the Necrons.
The ones with the Reapers obviously can advance and still shoot with a penalty, but they've only got a 12-inch range, and I didn't really want to be within 12 inches of your Assault Intercessors most of the time because that was nice and close for you to charge me. I mean, the Warriors obviously are fairly useless in melee, but they're not supposed to be good in melee. The only times I was keeping them in melee was I thought there was enough of them that it would hold you up, basically. Yeah, it's probably the main reason I think most of the time you would fall them back. Yeah, I wouldn't expect to wipe out the Necrons. You just need to hold them up long enough. If it had been a straight fight, then the Space Marines going first they probably need to go first because otherwise all the Necrons would shoot at them. And even the Gauss Flayers with 2 shots at strength 4 with AP -1 are quite dangerous to Space Marines. The Gauss Reapers are particularly deadly, as you said. With the Space Marines going first, then they have a decent chance of doing some fair bit of damage to the Flayer Warriors before they get to do anything. Yeah. I suppose it is possible for the Space Marines that you could go straight for the Reapers. It's a very long charge, but it's possible to do it. It's a very high risk strategy because then if you fail, both units can shoot at you. And you also, you don't want to be dealing with both units of warriors advancing on the objective at the same time either, because that way the Space Marines will be running backwards and forwards across the board trying to hold both units up. So, yeah, I think your tactics were definitely the right ones.
Yeah, and I always kept shooting at the unit with the Reapers because they were the more dangerous unit as well. Now, I suppose talking more about the rules, there are a few more quirks about fighting in units that we didn't learn. We'll probably learn about them when we get larger units, but you don't all have to be within an inch to fight. You can fight if you're within half an inch of one of your friends as well. It just makes using larger units a bit easier.
Yeah, although for larger units, the coherency rules are also a little bit more restrictive. You have to keep in a slightly tighter bunch, basically, if you have a bigger unit.
There's also things like consolidation, which if you haven't learned yet, that happens in the fight phase. And you should also expect from now on that any kind of generic models, I suppose, will come in units. So Silent Assessors and the Aggressors and Necron Warriors, whereas characters are usually single models in a unit, and vehicles as well.
Yeah, so these are the rules on most units in the game, I suppose. It's only because we've been learning the rules very step by step that we had all these individual models, but from now on, this is going to be the way stuff works.
And you'll probably find it speeds the game up as well, because if you had to do them all individually, it'd take forever in larger games.
Yeah, it doesn't matter so much on this scale, but yeah. And the models, obviously, they are very much the same as the three we already have in terms of appearance. They're all quite similar, but that's good for Necrons because it makes them a uniform, kind of faceless adversary on the battlefield. They look good when they're kind of ranked up like this. But there's in terms of putting together and painting them, there's nothing different to the three you've already got. And the Scarabs we will see in the next issue, so even though we didn't learn their rules here, we will see them coming up.
It's probably worth getting multiple copies of these issues as well if you intend to play the Necrons seriously, because having big blocks of warriors is a fairly standard tactic for Necrons, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely a mainstay of the Necron army.
And you can mix and match the weapons in a single unit, but I suspect you wouldn't do that normally. You'd probably pick one and have all of them have it.
Although going forward, I imagine we do get another 10 warriors later. I expect they'll tell us to build 5 and 5 again, so these units are made up to 10 in size. But for the moment, I'm expecting they will probably have 2 units of 5.
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
A decent number. And I don't know, it took a little while for us to get this issue, because apparently there were some supply issues where some people got the wrong sprue in their issue 10, and it apparently got reprinted, so presumably we have a reprinted version of it, because ours never actually arrived when it should have, but hopefully if other people have had the supply issues, they've been fixed for you.
And if you're watching this after the fact in a different country, where you'll get, hopefully that won't be repeated, you'll actually get the correct sprue in your issue.
Anyway, I don't think there's too much more to say about these games or this issue, so if you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.